driving home, you know, pep talking myself. Like, you're going to be nice. You're going to go in and see the kids tonight. You're going to, you know, just pep talking myself. And I couldn't do it, man. By the time I got there and, you know, the drugs were wearing off, the pep talks wearing off, and all I could do is go into the room, go into my little room in the garage. You know, it was the only place I could be that my loved ones were safe.
Welcome back to the Level Up Life, Muscle and Mindset Mastery. Today, your host, Adam, Waz, and we got our first double dipper here. Welcome back, buddy.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming on again. So coming, you know, we're talking about this coming to this date. I know you and I were both like, this topic of community in recovery and having purpose in recovery, both are huge. Not just in recovery, like we were talking just before the show. It's for everyone. Right. Whether there's a substance abuse problem or not, having purpose gives you fuel when you wake up in the morning, and having community helps. It gives you a push when you maybe aren't so motivated and you have those right people around you. So I guess let's start with community. In your recovery, how important has community been?
Oh, man. So my world had got so small. You know, it was like me, 5 kids in a garage, right? And the community, just everything about the community was scary. So when I got into drug court and I really started to go to meetings, the community was everything. That finding a group of people who understood what I was going through, finding a group of people that really didn't understand but cared what I was going through was amazing. You know, that was that I don't know which part was more helpful, understanding, you know, finding out that there were people that understood and were willing to help me, or finding out that there were people who really didn't understand, but they were still willing to help me, you know. And that was to go from such a lonely place where everything about the world felt dangerous, fearful, against me, you know, to finding a community, you know, in and out of recovery that just loved me and embraced me as long as I was me, really. I mean, that's the craziest part about the whole thing. I really got to be authentic for the first time in my life, and the community was there and have loved me through it.
I think that's the key word, is when you're embraced, because I was sitting here while you're talking thinking about, like, when I was in jail, that's kind of like a community, right?
Yeah.
It is.
It is.
But I felt so distant from the people around me because I did want change, and a lot of them weren't trying to change. Not a good majority of them.
Right.
So I think finding, like, and then I think about, you know, when I got back to Midland after treatment and I went into my first meeting, it was a church on Saginaw Road, and it was a Saturday morning meeting, I remember. And I walked in and there was, you know, for anonymity, I'll just say first names, but Charlie, John, Andy, all these guys. I knew a couple of them, and I'm like, you guys are in here? Yeah. Like, it made me feel like, you guys are doing this already? Yeah. And then the guys I didn't know were like, hey, you know, my name's such and such, and turned into some really good friends that I still am in contact with today. So it's like, embrace is a key component, and when you feel a part of it, right, rather than feeling isolated.
Well, I mean, we go back to the jail thing a little bit, you know. It's very rare that, I mean, I met Dave in jail, but I was ready to change then, right? By the time I had met Dave, it was like I was finally starting to not feel comfortable in that community, which was life-changing right there, you know, sitting in jail, not feeling comfortable. It's like that had been my home away from home for so many years. And it was actually my safe place for a lot. And then my community started to change. I got to be around people in the program or people who wanted better for me.
So your thinking was changing. So then your community started changing.
Right. Yeah. And then, you took the time to actually have some conversations inside the jail that were life-changing instead of just stuck, you know. And then coming out of jail and into drug court and recovery court. When I was there, it was drug court. Coming out of jail and into drug court and being forced into a community a little bit. It was the only way. It was for me. That was the only way. I wasn't ready to step out, and I didn't feel good enough about myself to step out into a new community and be like, "Hey, here I am." I've screwed up everything, but I'm hoping you love me. I wasn't ready for all that. They told me that I was going to go to meetings, and I was going to do some community service, and I was going to meet with all these people and go to groups, and what a blessing that is. So it's forced in the beginning, but I mean, I'm like you. I walk in this room, and people are talking about their life and my feelings, and it was like, what?
Automatically can relate.
Automatic relate. And then in that particular community, and sometimes in the beginning it made it hard to be around any other community because all I knew how to talk about was recovery. That's it. That's all I knew how to talk about was recovery and how to get through this and how to make it through one more day and how to heal from what I did to the kids, how to heal from what I did to myself. That's really all, and that's what I needed in the beginning. I just needed a community willing to talk about how do I get through today. And that was life-changing, And then we progressed from there, and you could sit down and have I don't know, normal's a silly word, but for lack of a better word, normal conversation with people who weren't in recovery as I start to gain some self-worth and I started to feel that I had some value, But that took time. That took time, and without the recovery community, that doesn't happen, Without people who have gone through the process before me, willing to reach back and take me with them, and that particular community has so much love, for just a whole bunch of broken individuals, just so much love for anyone who's willing to come in, be authentic, and try,
Comes from the pain, so much pain, and then you make that transition, and it's like, I know what you went through. I know what you went through. I love you guys,
Yeah.
I mean, and that's it, 'cause when you're broken, it's easy, right? Yeah. You had that post the other day, and I know where it was born from. But the things we'll say when, hey, you're going to be all right, and as we don't do it to ourselves. So when you see somebody else hurting and they're broken, it's easy to show that love. It's harder to show it to the mirror, and you need that community to buy in that you do deserve it. I mean, I still struggle with that.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, that's my biggest hang up. But giving that love to everybody, I mean, you don't even have to think about it. It's there.
Well, that's in that community. That's what I mean. This is just my opinion, that's why service work is so crucial in that I mean, I don't know when it happened. I have no idea when in my journey it happened that I started to care anything about myself. I just knew I was really tired of hurting other people, and I felt so poorly about all the things I had done. I didn't care about me, but I got into the rooms, and other people cared about me, and I cared about them. That was it, the service work part of it. Let me help you.
Got to give it away to keep it.
That's right. And at first, I didn't want to do anything for myself. Like I didn't feel like I deserved it. I didn't even know how to go. It was so awkward feeling, all of those things. But I would definitely help you, you know?
Oh, yeah, that's second nature. I mean,
Yep. And I think that
you guys both have, both sat me down and gave me dad talks about about that. Hey, man, you got to accept. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Awkward was the key word where I was like, both you bastards.
Right.
Like,
I sometimes I think you can be humble to a fault,
Oh, absolutely.
you know. So
And not just you. That's
No,
not
not just-
oh,
yeah.
Dave. Yeah, I mean, but yeah, absolutely. Well, Dave too, but yeah, you know, and I think some of that comes from, for me personally, when that happens, when that's happening, it's because I remember the things I've done to other people and to myself, my parents, my kids, you know, all the people, and sometimes I find, even now, I'm like 11 plus years into this, and I'll go through these stretches where I find myself trying to make up for what I did 12 years ago, you know, and it comes out in humbleness, you know, and humility, and it just, but really inside sometimes it's not that positive.
right.
oh, yeah.
Sometimes when I think back and I reflect on the person that I used to be, like all the time I don't recognize that human. I don't know how to explain it. I'm just like, how did I get to that point?
Right.
And I feel like a lot of what's the opposite of connection? Isolation. Right. A lot of this stuff with my family that had passed away, my dad, my grandpa, my grandma, and I just withdrew from people and isolated.
Right.
With the idea that I'm being strong for them because I'm not showing my vulnerability. And then that just kind of led to a lifestyle of isolation where I didn't really connect with humans. Right. It was the relationships that I had back then, whether it be friendships or like intimate relationships, there's always that third partner in the relationship, and that was the substance.
Yeah.
So it was never a true connection. It was always like, you know.
Well, I think that's where you will never sit here and hear me say that all the things I did were because of drugs. I mean, I'm not. Drugs aren't an excuse for my behavior, but I also understand that without drugs, I have never ever been able to treat people even close to that way.
Right. I think the drugs are sometimes just a symptom of a deeper issue, or
but they allow me to desensitize. You know, like I would never in my life say some of the things that I said to my parents or my kids or you know, my significant and people I love. People I love, I would never, you know. But you know, like you were saying, desensitizing myself. That's the way we did it, right? Because I can't even believe I'm that. I can't even believe that I was that person.
Yeah, it's hard to look back and imagine that I wrote a check from a closed account out to one of my lifelong friends for a few $100s that was going to get me through a day.
Yeah.
Like, I think about like the desperation that I remember just not wanting to be sick, but the desperation that I must have felt in those moments, like to lead me to thinking that was okay. I just, you know.
And the only way to make that possible for us was to break ties with the whole community, any kind of community. I mean, really, even the using community. I mean, by the end, when it got real bad, I couldn't even face them. You know, I couldn't even face the other people doing drugs around me. I didn't have anything left in me. You know, what a sad that is a sad place to be. That was a horribly sad place to be. When I can vividly, I always drove work vans, and the last couple of years I worked in Clare and remodeling apartments, and I lived in Coleman, and I can vividly remember, especially when the leaves start to change like they are now, driving home, you know, pep talking myself, like, you're going to be nice, you're going to go in and see the kids tonight, you're going to, you know, just pep talking myself, and I couldn't do it, man. By the time I got there and, the drugs were wearing off, the pep talks wearing off, and all I could do is go into the room, go into my little room in the garage. It was the only place I could be that my loved ones were safe. Like you had to take care of it. You had to get rid of the community, and that was why it was so important when they said, hey, you're going to go to meeting. Hey, you're going to live in town at the sober house instead of go back out there where you're from, you're going to do some different things. That was the whole point. Like I had to find a community that would embrace me regardless of how I felt about myself.
Mm-hmm. There's so many other, outside of the recovery community, talking community, right? So the listeners that, maybe not have a substance abuse issue or have ever had a substance abuse issue, but, let's just list off some communities. We'll go around here. The gym.
Obviously the gym.
Gym.
Yep. And the nonprofit communities.
Yeah.
Around here,
I think sports, us playing
sports
ball,
teams.
right?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Every sports team I've ever been on is community.
Yeah.
But I mean, and even the teams we're playing against, right? We have a lot of friends, family that we're playing against, right?
What about who's a Lions fan?
I definitely watched that yesterday.
Yeah, so there's another community.
Right.
You can find your tribe anywhere.
Yeah.
It can be any shared interest. It can be spiritual, like a church.
Yep.
It can be exercise related. It can be work related, like what you've built as a community.
Yeah. And that was the whole thing behind what I'm putting together is none of us do this. None of us do this by ourselves. So in the beginning, what happens is we bring them in and it's just a work community. Some of them, that's all they can handle at first, which is completely okay. And it's like, hey, stop. They've been here a little while. Stop and take all the places, the churches that are helping us, right? So one of the churches here in town, Memorial Presbyterian, has helped us, decided to help us with cold weather gear as well, and making sure the guys know that. Listen, Community Construct is a community, and we help each other, and this is your family, and this is what we're doing, and we're going to stick with you from point A all the way through. But there's a whole community supporting us, and you're allowed to be part of that too. Mm-hmm. And you should be, trying to break that isolation, trying to break that chain of separating yourself, looking for differences.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an addict. I don't get to participate over here. No, that's not the truth.
Yeah.
That's the only way that's the truth is if you make it the truth.
Right. You make
how
that
much
choice.
bigger that community is, right? He's got one young guy, and I've known his dad for, I don't know, probably 20 years. But he had told me about this kid and blah, blah. Not through me or Buddy. He links up with wife and he buys a car from her. So we go to drop the car off to him because he doesn't have a way of getting it. And as I'm talking to him, I'm like, I've got to hear a little bit about you and see that you're killing it. And, and explain to who I am because I haven't worked for you in a long time, right? So he doesn't know me through any job, but his community just got too bigger, right? With myself and the wife just over the vehicle purchase.
Yeah.
But, and I mean, what a good dude. I mean,
and he is a perfect example right now of,
he's got 15 years on us getting started.
Yeah. 19 years old, man. 19 years old, doing the right thing, choosing to be in this program. Things have been tough. Mm-hmm. Things are always tough. I love what I do, but it's not a straight line, right? Shining star, right? Those are the stories that keep you motivated. You got to be like, okay, all this stuff's going on, just focus on him. But growing and making the right moves and having conversation, and then finding out he's making all the right moves even when you're not looking. even when you're not pep talking. It's like, you bought a car from who? You talked to who? You know, and like, wow. So, you know, and
Small world.
a small world, but getting bigger.
Yeah.
The community's getting bigger every day for him. You know,
Yeah. That makes me think, like, for now he sees you out in public, you're part of his support network, and how I relate to my own journey, right? And how more sharing, the more I share and the more people who know about my story, the bigger that support network gets. That I like to think about it as if you're jumping off a bridge, how strong is your net? Because everybody, every viewer that listens to this podcast, whether I know them or not, is part of my support network. Right. Everybody down at the courthouse, part of my support network. All of the clients that we train, part of my support network. They keep me accountable. Yeah. So if ever comes a time I go out to dinner and I'm like, you know, one drink's not going to hurt. Oh, wait, who's out here that's going to call me on my crap, right? So just that thought sometimes I feel like can save me down the road.
Yeah.
And it's accountability. And that's the bonus with community is that you get people hold you accountable for how you act. It can be even like we're at the gym every single day. There's regulars that come every single day. So there's been numerous times I know both of us have reached out to people and it's like, hey, you know, where's such and so and so, you know, I haven't seen them either. Let's shoot them a text, see if everything's good. That's what community is.
Yeah.
That's what you talk about the recovery community and how they just like, how I felt when I came to those tables the first time was just like, they wrapped around me, embraced me. Hey, you know, is there anything I can do to help you? You need a ride to a meeting. All these things when I was like way down here, didn't have my license, didn't have a car. People were willing to help. And that's the purpose of a community, right?
Right. Well, and that's just it. It's, you just said that, you know, not to skip into but the purpose behind it. When I have a purpose, you know, I've found my purpose through community, you know, then that's how that happened, right? I started this community, started to embrace me, and then the recovery community, then the Midland community, and then all these, you know, churches, you know, next thing I know, on Sunday, I'm sitting on a stage talking about step 4 in front of a church congregation, scared. I would rather be in front of the judge at that point in my life. I didn't know what to do. I got off the stage, I got hugs, you know, add to my community, right? And that's how I found my purpose. I never knew I even liked people. I literally thought I hated people. I only hated me, right? I didn't even know people. I just hated me. And then as the community embraced me, that's where I found my purpose. Like, wow, I really love people. And I really want to help people.
Yeah.
You know, not really avoid, that's probably the wrong word, but a lot of, in the beginning, what it was is I was hurt so bad by what I did to my kids. I just wanted to help other people not do the same to their kids. That was the nuts and bolts. That's what started me being a coach, right? And that doesn't happen unless the community embraces me, and I start to understand how much I like people. And like, probably one of the biggest life changing, and we talked when the enemy, the probation department, the judge, all the people that have been my enemy from age 17 to age 35 started to help me, right? When Brian Magnapora went down and helped me through the child support stuff and just no credit at all, just said, keep doing what you know, and just didn't embarrass, you know, just humbly helped me because I was doing the right thing. When the enemy started to become part of my community, everything changed.
Well, and that makes me think of my experience overdosing. when the enemy was actually the one that saved my life. And it took me a little bit to realize, like, oh, they're not the enemy.
Right.
You know? And then also thinking, like, how intertwined purpose and community are. And, you know, my purpose, simply help people, which I get to do that in the gym every day. That's literally the reason we're sitting here right now,
Right.
is to share, you know, what's your struggles, what's your successes, how did you pull yourself out of that, how did you, the big thing for me is how did we all find our purpose? Because that's the thing I hear from a lot of people is, well, how do I know what my purpose is?
Yeah, what a good question. So I feel like one of the things that I had to do to find my purpose was to figure out what was hurting me so bad. What some of the things that had happened to me in my life that hurt so bad that's where I ended up, right? Sexual abuse. Nobody talked about it, you know? Not even a lot of people at the tables talked about it. Had to get it out. It almost killed me, right?
What a relief, though, once you do, like...
Dude, like, once I threw that out there and it was off my chest, and it was ugly. I mean, it was like ugly cry, you know, in my first open talk, it really came out, you know, but I had to figure out how I found my purpose is I started to see that there was 3 or 4 major things in my life that really, really held me back and got me to where I was, you know, and a ton of that was, as a young man, nobody was teaching me how to get through what I was going through openly, right? Whether it be sexual abuse or feelings I didn't understand, you know. I mean, that's huge, right? Like I got all these feelings and I'm not supposed to have them by society standards. I'm not supposed to have them. Well, that doesn't mean they go away. Right. I'm a mess all the time because I don't know what to do with the way I'm feeling or the thoughts that are coming into my head that I know are wrong, you know. Like some of them are just like, well, dude, you can't hit everybody that you don't like. You can't just think about hurting people, right? But what do I do with it, you know? And I thought it was for my whole life. I thought that was me. That was a me thing, you know, because nobody talked about it. Nobody was telling me, hey, how to process this. Hey, man, what's happening is you're a young man and there's this flood of testosterone going through your body, along with some trauma that's a few years back, and you don't know what to do with it.
Which I think for a lot of young men, especially, it gets shifted from hurt and pain internally to anger because that's comfortable.
Right. Well, it's let's be real. In the kingdom, the animal kingdom, like that's normal. I mean, what is every other? I mean, that's testosterone hits and they start fighting and pecking order starts happening. Well, we ain't supposed to act that way because we, you know, but nature says we are, you know, and the only thing that stops us is we help each other. And there, you know, and that was one of the things that, like, where were all these guys? Where were all these men in my life who, you know, had so much to offer but didn't? It's like, I don't want to be that. I want to be the opposite. You know, that was part of finding my purpose. Okay. Like, nobody showed me, but I want to show someone else. You know, and that's why Barrett's so, you know, the kid's 19. I understand. I know what it feels. I remember what it feels like to be an angry 19-year-old. It's like, hey, kid, slow down. Here's 100 people that love you and are willing to spend the time with you, you know? And he's looking at you like, I don't want to talk to 2. Like, right. I know that feeling too, you know? And just breaking down the barrier, allowing, you know, throwing something exaggerated at him, like, here's 100 people, and letting him express himself. Hey, but I don't want to talk to 2. It's like, okay, pick 2, you know? That way he feels like he has all the power in the world. You know, I don't remember what it's like to be a teenager. Whatever I say is going to be wrong.
Yep.
I just got to say something so outlandish, he'll come back. He'll come in the middle somewhere. You know?
Yeah, and that's what leading does is you're not necessarily telling someone what to do. You're just kind of coaxing them along, like, hey, this is probably, from my experience, the way you want to go.
Yep.
So
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, it's the purpose part of the whole deal was understanding why I ended up, you know, I didn't understand right away. You know, I just still don't understand all of it. But there was some really glaring points of what happened that were standing out, and I wanted to be part of the solution. That's where purpose started to really come into my life, you know.
so fulfilling too once you, I mean, the vigor you wake up with.
Yeah.
I know before I used to really struggle getting up in the morning, and now I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, and that took some other tricks too, because I don't wake up all energized every morning. To say that, it would be a lie.
Right.
I've actually trained my mind to be like 5, 4, 3, 2. As soon as my alarm goes off, I count down. This is a Mel Robbins thing.
Okay.
I count down from 5. If I'm not up by then, like, I can't remember the last time I didn't get up.
Right.
Using that technique.
It's funny that gets said, because Rebecca's always like, we got to fix your sleep. It's like, dude, most days I can't wait. You know, I'm like, you know, 2 o'clock I wake up. I'll be like, why am I doing this? And then I just lay there. It's like, oh yeah, this is why I'm doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And sometimes it's frustrating. You know, I picked
yeah.
a very frustrating path. I can't even say I didn't. Right. That's why it's so gratifying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it on the head when he said, got to give to get back. Because with us, all 3 of us, and that purpose, none of it was started with any selfish, none to get back, but how rewarded it is. And not in a monetary sense, but in your soul. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that's why it's easier to get up. I mean, I don't do that. I wake up, and similar to you now, but I don't wake up chipper. I'd blow up the world first thing. and if I have to be to the gym at 5 a.m, I'm up at 3:30.
Right.
And I'm giving myself that time with the quiet and the reflection and everything else. But by the time I'm there, damn straight, I'm thrilled to be there.
Right.
And to get that reward, because it's awesome. I mean, way more than training.
Well, it's passing those things on, you know. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's like the in my career, in my construction career, there wasn't a whole lot of happiness in the morning, right?
Oh,
and
no.
What a way to live your life, and it's trying to pass on. Hey, man, just get up a little bit earlier, so you can enjoy part of your day, right?
Mm-hmm.
So many people. This isn't a recovery thing. This is people in general.
Oh yeah.
So many people are so angry when they get up in the morning. It's like, come on,
Their whole day is
their
shot.
whole day, right? It takes them 4 hours just to be nice, and it's like, like why?
I distinctly telling one of my old tool pushers, one of my favorite dudes, and he gives his little rah-rah speech, and we have nothing going on. We're at the yard. What's the matter with you, Wazny? He said, look like you're ready to rip out my head, shit down your throat, shit down my head. I'm like, huh? Like, no, man. And he said something. I'm like, Cody, I do not have a personality till the sun comes up. You keep your chipper bullshit away from me. And he was like, duly noted. And he walks away. And I mean, he was just like, so
That's
infectious.
me in the morning, like.
So infectious of life. And I mean, one of the very best dudes I ever worked for.
That is exactly why I'm like, and I can't lie. One of the struggles that I have with the organization is that, boys, I never wanted to run a construction. I didn't want to run a business, and regardless of it's an organization or not, money is keeping the doors open. So it's a business, right? And when you're waking up and you're handling problems and handling, budget and everything in the morning, I really had to adjust myself. Like, I don't want to do that. I want to, So I've had to readjust you got to read something purposeful. You got to write a little bit about who you're trying to work with, what you're trying to do that day, long before you ever pick up the checkbook or the spreadsheet or whatever's going on. And then somehow wake up early enough to handle all of that before everything starts happening, right? And because I don't want to do that. I don't. That my purpose will never be about money, ever. And if it is, I expect my friends to say, hey, man, it's time to hang it up, right? It ain't there. And that has been tricky to work within the boundaries of running an organization and financially not putting that first, even though there's so much pressure, to keep it going. But
unfortunately, to really make an impact, gotta have money.
I know.
It's like, so
yeah.
I mean,
and I will tell you this. This is one of the things that have helped me, between Eric and Rebecca and Marissa and all these people, and I'm probably forgetting some. They raised this money, and put together some fundraisers and make sure the guys have cold weather gear and make sure they have a breakfast bar, right? And then that makes it helps to take my focus off the money part of it. It's like, man, God's gonna do what God's gonna do, and we're in year 7 and He hasn't closed the door yet.
Mm-hmm. There's statistics that if a business or company makes it past year 5, statistically they will continue to grow.
Right.
Just because most small businesses, I don't know the exact number,
right,
but it's like 80% or something fail within the first 5 years.
Yeah.
I mean, and nonprofits are even there's more of a challenge behind a nonprofit. A lot of the loopholes and stuff that, I mean,
yeah,
it gets pretty complicated.
Yeah, and so I'm not trying to toot my own horn on this. I'm trying to do both, and try to care for people more than you care about the checkbook. Is sometimes I make mistakes. I'm like, oh, that was a little too much. And that's where I was kind of going with that, is like the community has rallied, just helped us so much by helping us provide the meal in the morning and really like trying to put it together so they can take a lunch with them. They eat breakfast at the shop and take a lunch with them. Breaking down the barriers of starting over. I mean, like these guys they're not starting at 0. They're starting at -10. Most of them have a laundry list of bad choices that are like a ball and chain, right? And the simple ways that the community has got behind us and made sure that we have been able to break down as many barriers as we've been able to date and more. I don't, and the doors are still open, and that's all. The purpose is still so far from money that it's there, right? And I believe it.
Now let's take a moment to thank our sponsors, Pine Haven Assisted Living. At Pine Haven Assisted Living, they believe in making every resident feel at home. Nestled in the peaceful countryside of Hemlock, Michigan, they offer compassionate care in a family-like environment where residents can enjoy independence with the support they need. Registered nurse-owned and operated, their team provides personalized care, home-cooked meals, and a range of activities to ensure your loved ones continue to live a fulfilling life. They also have alpacas and llamas on site to enrich the lives of their residents. Experience the warmth and comfort of Pine Haven. Call them today at 989-295-6632. That's 989-295-6632. Or you can visit them on their website at pinehavenassistedliving.com. That's pinehavenassistedliving.com for more information. Now, back to the Level Up Life. Well, I know you guys do good work because, I've heard a lot from your customers over the years, but even, Rich, who sponsors the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
From Pine Haven,
Yep.
Senior Assisted Living. He said you came out and did his roof, and he's like, great work, great guy, great group of guys. Just like, he's like, I'm gonna have him do my business roof, I think he said. So
Yeah.
like, impact what you guys are doing on a regular basis, and that purpose kind of trickles down into the team. Because for me, when I looked at what is my purpose, why was I saved? What's my reason I'm still here? Why me? Going through survivor's guilt and all this. And I was just like, I was sitting in treatment, and I went through this workshop and kind of funneled everything down into what fills my cup the most. You peel all of the external layers off of this onion, right? And what's at the core? And it was simply help others. Mm-hmm. And I looked at what brought me joy when I was a kid. What did I do as a kid? And you can confirm this with Mom. Man, I was like, snow day, up and down. This is different times, right? So I was just going up and down the road shoveling people's driveways because there wasn't like phones, there wasn't the internet, there wasn't these sweet games the kids have now. So I was literally just shoveling people's driveways. I didn't even knock on the door. Why are you doing this? Just feel like helping.
Right.
Same with the neighbors. So I this was at the core of who I was when I was young. Never really, even in my using days, I'd see someone that was sick, a fellow user, and I would be like,
Yep.
like I'd feel bad they were sick. So that core the core component of who I am carried over through that. It survived through that. And then reflecting on this, I'm just like, it can be like, I always say open the door for someone because it takes zero effort, really, when you think about it. Zero time commitment. You're already going through the door and you just, hey, how you doing? It can be as simple as that, but what that impact can have on someone.
Right.
So then you can just look at that and kind of extrapolate it out. Going in and sharing with kids, sharing my story with my clients, or, it can be sharing a success, sharing a failure.
Right.
It can be, sometimes I don't even know I'm helping people, and then they'll come up to me and they'll be like, you said this and this on the podcast, and that really clicked for me and has really made a positive impact on me. So all of that stuff that comes back to me is like, that's why I'm here. That's why I was saved.
Yeah.
Hell, a lot of times it's listening.
That's what
A
was
lot of times it's not even ever opening their mouth, right?
Right.
It's letting somebody just vent and give it away.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, that's what when we started talking, right? It was the isolation, right? Most people are lost in isolation and desperation of they don't understand that there's a way out. All you got to do is listen. All you have to do is listen to them. That's really all they need. Lots of times. Mm-hmm. Most times I don't even have an answer. Just got to listen.
Yep. And you two are always standing there shining the flashlight. Over here, a little Scooby-Doo shining the way of where the way out is.
Well,
I don't know that. I mean, I think of that, and it's like, maybe this is that too humble. I don't know. I just don't feel like I'm the guy over with the flashlight. I feel like it's just like, I'm just
bullshit too.
I'm living, right?
yeah.
How I'm supposed to. And just when we do that, we become a light for others. Right. When you live authentically and you're vulnerable and
Well, yeah.
you're chipper in the morning.
But being loud about your story, and people knowing you both are a safe spot, right? You were saying earlier, there's different ways, right? There's a million ways to cut the grass, as long as it gets cut. Because your recovery might be different than my recovery, which is different from your recovery. But we have these spots. And anybody in the recovery community, whether they got 30 years in it, whether they're just walking through the door the first time, knows y'all's stories, right? They hear your stories. There's a reason why people are making the comments and saying stuff to you. There's a reason why people come and seek you out, right? And want to work for you. How many people didn't know the difference between a freaking hammer and a flat shovel? Come work for you. You know? There's big reasons there. And it's who you guys are in that community.
I think sometimes it's really hard to see myself as a light. Sometimes my life is what dreams are made out of. I just feel so fortunate to even be where I'm at and to, and all the way through, right? To have the friendships that I have, to have the marriage I have, to have the relationship with my kids who really justifiably could have just said no and more. My parents, and it's like, I'm just so grateful that I have what I have. It's hard to view myself as a light. I'm just loving it. I'm just loving it up.
And maybe that's what it is, right?
And then you understand
that's
that's the light.
Mm-hmm.
You understand that was the purpose the whole time.
That's why people are drawn to you.
Yeah.
Just the enjoyment of how you live.
And same thing. Same thing with you. You guys aren't a whole lot different in that regard.
No.
Right? What did I used to say about the morning stuff? Right?
It used to just
that infectious positivity, right? Yeah. And
there's mornings though, not to interrupt. There's mornings though that I'm like, you're like, hey buddy.
Oh, I see. I'm like, wait, when I can recognize you walking through the door, not all chipper, I'm like, that's right.
Yep. Yeah. No, and then he gets me, and it's just like.
But I've been at that point. It's like I've been up for 4 hours, and here you come in walking through the door. Right? Mm-hmm. It takes me a whole lot more time because, like you said, it was in the construction, which has been a majority of my life. Holy shit, the rig, right? And granted, the last 9 years-ish or something working on the rig, I was sober. But give me 5 to 7 minutes before I walked to that meeting house before going to work. So then I had 30 minutes or 35 minutes of being awake before I started to work. Because hell no, I walked out of the camp, I threw on coveralls, and it didn't matter if it was 20 below or it was 80 degrees out. There was just coveralls over a pair of drawers, and I walked to the meeting, get a cup of coffee. Blah, 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 ignore whatever bull crap that they're talking in that meeting. Then go to work and wait for the sun to come up for a little personality.
It's
years.
Just so hard, man. It's so hard. When you feel the way that I feel today about my life, start to finish. And I'm not saying it ain't stressful, and I go through all the same emotions as every other person. But when I sit down, like this morning, I sat down and had some quiet time. Wrote my wife a note, saying, hey, I'm sorry I'm so stubborn. It's like when I take the time to recognize how good my life is in every area, like how can you not want to get up in the morning? How do you, I don't understand. Like, she's talking about we need to fix your sleep so you can sleep longer. I'm like, no. I don't want to give up any time. It's like I love this. I love the fact that when I see someone, I'm met with respect and love, and I have these meaningful relationships, meaningful conversations. Somebody would, really, whoever thought that somebody was going to ask me to be on a podcast, other than like from some horrible things. And that's the way my brain still sees it. You know, like I know I've been at this a long time, but there's nothing saying I should have been here. Nothing. I mean, I tried not to be here many times. You know, I literally tried many times, sometimes almost succeeded. You know, a dog saved my life, or, you know, somebody would happen to come by, you know. Like, how does that happen, you know? Yeah. Oh, yeah. It took me a little while to see it was God.
And there was a plan, right? Before.
Right.
You know, it was a full circle thing, right? The only real trauma that I could point to, you know? And I mean, I was already a professional user and drinker and all that at that point. But something just happened and somebody else posted about it. I was like, oh. And then just commenting and sending my prayers and condolences. And I mean, just a big wake up in that of, I shouldn't be here.
Right. And there's a lot of good people that aren't.
Yeah. So I don't want you to get off the hook with the impact that you're having on those kids. Like that, I just feel like that needs to be highlighted.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, when you're not there, they're like, where's Waz?
Well,
you know, they connect with you.
Yes.
What you're doing, fostering is just like, I feel like that's, and I'm not the one to title it, but I feel like that's, dude, this guy's found his calling. Like, this is what.
And I mean, I do think with the kids, and, you know, I had said it about, and I don't even know if I did. I know that day in court, being sentenced, thinking, you know, how I'll take myself out driving home, right? And they had the little dash cam footage proving that, right? Like, I mean, I didn't, but here comes an oncoming car.
Right.
I don't know which line, you know, so I'm going over to the shoulder. There's no way I'm taking somebody else out. And, you know, all that, like, yeah, just me. And I mean, what am I anyhow? Worthless, all this and that. And it took just the reflection of, like, how fucking selfish could I be?
Right.
Where my wife and my kids, right? I mean, others, but especially them. But here I was, you know, that was my justification. I'll take myself out and that's it. I'll hit a culvert, whoop-de-doo.
Right.
That's one. But my calling was to be a dad. And I look at all them kids in there, right? They're all younger than my kids. But I look at them all as my sons and daughters. And then a lot, you know, that big brother. Because I talk to them all real. Yeah. Not as my son or my daughter. That I'm 15 right with them, or they're in their 40s with me.
Right.
And because I didn't have that, right? And we all talked about that. We had people telling us, don't do this and don't do this.
Yeah.
That didn't walk the road.
Right?
Yeah. And, I mean, I think my personal opinion is the way our approach brings an emotional element that actually connects with them. I mean, people told me consequences, start to finish, ever since I was little. This is what's going to... But that was where it ended. It was just with some physical... Like, I can take any physical
consequence. To me.
Yeah. Or it's not going to happen to me, or I can take any physical consequence you give me, right? I mean, it doesn't matter. It's like, whatever. I don't like myself enough to even consider that I can't take it, you know, at that point in my life. What we're doing is connecting with them right where they're at while we're talking about the consequences. And I think that's the key. Like, that's why you guys are having such amazing success inside the juvenile detention center.
I do, and give you lots of props too. And I think I've told you this, of stealing your line of call me when you're down. That's when I want you to call.
Yeah.
And I tell all of them that. I'm like, you guys get out and our cards get put with every kid that comes in and out. No matter where they're from, what their story is. And I make point saying, referencing it all the time. And am I call me in good, call me in bad?
Yeah.
I absolutely, whether over the phone or we meet up, I want to raise your hand like you won the belt.
Yeah.
But at the same point, I want to wrap you up when you're failing or when you're about to fail, when you're thinking about failing, whether did or going to. Call me either which way, because it's not a conditional love of like, oh, if you get out and you keep getting out, you get ice cream with sprinkles. But if you mess up, you lose my number.
Right.
That goes right back to community.
Yeah.
Like having that, we're trying to build how do they say it? Takes a village.
Right.
It takes a community.
Yeah.
You need more than just, and that's, so you're talking about right there is.
Well, yeah. And I think some of what we experienced when we first got into this life change, all the life changes that we're making, in our defense and the kids' defense, or the people out there that are struggling in their defense, there's a lot of good people in this community, but we can't see them,
Mm-hmm.
But you can, and they're doing a lot of good things.
Oh yeah.
But you can't see them when you're struggling, right? And I think that's why coaching and all the stuff that we're doing is bridging the gap of we're being seen, right? Because there has been people changing communities for the better for decades. There's people in this community that I've met that have been doing amazing work for decades.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows.
Yep.
Nobody knows. And it's awesome. And I give them props, and I love them for the work that they're doing. But it's like, hey, man, tell somebody. Because
who's the first guy when you think of this shirt that I'm wearing, right? I mean, he's a big one. If you guys both don't know, I'm gonna slap you when we quit rolling. And I mean, I thought of him when I decided I was gonna wear this shirt today too. And I don't know him. I know the level that, I mean, you're who introduced me to him.
right.
I can think of 2-3 people thinking of that shirt.
Right. I mean,
Well,
you're
he
talking about
nailed
Will,
it. Yeah.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just it. And he's one of them, It's
Yeah.
like he's so quiet about it. He
Yeah.
just does all these amazing things, but he's so quiet. And I love all the people who have quietly been doing the work. Holler, stand up,
Yeah.
let the people that are hurting see you. Like, because lots of times the biggest
Vulnerability is
problem,
strength.
but the biggest problem was I didn't know anybody was helping. Had no idea.
Yep.
Like I couldn't see it. Like, and it's cool that you go to a meeting and you go to the rooms, but like, what if you can't find the rooms? Right? What if you can't find the help? Like I understand the anonymous part of things. I really do understand the anonymous. The reason we're doing this is because we're loud. The reason we're doing this is because we're reaching out and like, hey, this is my story.
This is who I am.
This is who I am, but this is what I'm willing to do now.
And I want to touch on that before we wrap up here. How you've gotten to where you are, how you've gotten to where you are, and how I've gotten to where I am. There's been some extreme ownership to our past. It's not like I'm like, well, it was the drugs. No. It's not like, oh, that's how I used to act. It was the drugs. It was what had happened to me. And I got to a place in my life where I was like, stripped all that away. And I looked, well, this happened to me, but my reaction was my choice. Once I started that and it kind of, the ball started rolling, then it becomes a habit. But the same, when I take extreme ownership of my past, it gave me gave me the keys back. I had my hands on the wheel, where I could sit there and be like, okay, what do I want to do with my life? Because it's my choice now. There's guys that sat in treatment with me, man. I sat there, I sound like a crazy person. I was like, bro, I'm gonna be a personal trainer. I'm gonna get a job at Four Seasons when I get out. This is what I'm gonna do. And people looked at me like I was crazy. Like, bro, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know how to do that. And then I had people that, after making those decisions, and I always credit Judge Beal, man, the guy with the simple phrase, I don't know how many words it is. I was going to say how many words it is, but I don't even know how many. It's just do the next right thing.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. So there's these whys that I encounter in my life. And with that extreme ownership, that accountability, and I know like this is the right thing to do. And then, I'll even use the rotary 4-way test, incorporate that into it, because I want whatever decision I make not to be just beneficial to me, but to benefit the community as a whole.
Right.
And that's where it becomes like, I think that's a lot. I credit a lot of where my life is based on the accountability and just, all right, is this going to benefit me alone, or is this choice going to benefit me and the community? So this is what I'm going to do. Yeah.
I think the extreme ownership part is everything. Is everything. Extreme ownership, right? Like I was going back to what I was saying earlier about, I use drugs to turn off my emotions and did, that was not, it was me, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was me. I just used drugs as a tool to get through what I hurt, that literally went against my values,
Right.
that I didn't even realize I had yet. But
we didn't do it alone, though.
But we didn't do it alone, right?
We tried to, and that's where the drugs came.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. But and then there was the extreme ownership, when I started coming into the rooms, and it was the extreme ownership. Not just, everything that I was about my past. When I came into the rooms and really sat in a room full of people and admitted to hitting my kids or calling my kids names, and just the shame that came with that, and the fear of going home. When I really started to own that, that's the only reason my life got to change. That's the only reason that that people were willing to accept that behavior was part of my past. Right? If I walk in the room and be like, yeah, I was on drugs and then I did this, and it's all the drugs' fault. Like, nobody's hearing my shit. It was because I knew that was me. The drugs are not at fault. I did some really, really unacceptable things to people I love and to people I didn't even know. And now I'm trying to fix it. That's the whole piece. Right, you're absolutely right. Without some extreme ownership, and you don't even really realize that that's a part of your core value. It's part of my values now.
Mm-hmm.
Right, when I'm working with someone and they don't take any ownership, I can love them and I can root for them. I automatically put my energy into someone else.
Well, and that's where community comes in too, where you call someone out.
Yeah,
like, hey, you know, like if you're not gonna,
right, and we have the power to do that, right? And that's where we're bridging the gap, right?
Yep.
That's where we're bridging the gap. Is like, you can get mad at me all you want. I have the ability to say that because I did it, right? I'm not saying anything to you that I'm not saying to myself. Like, because when I tell you what you're doing to your kids is absolutely wrong, I'm absolutely saying that to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Have I corrected my behavior? Absolutely. But I still know I did it. I'm still taking ownership for what I did and how wrong it was. And that's where our power comes in.
Mm-hmm.
That's where our power to help, helping young men become men, helping men become men. I shouldn't even say young men. I got a whole crew of guys,
Yep.
and a whole slew of guys that I work with. Some of them in their 50s and 60s. We're just men trying to become better men, and that starts with ownership. Recovery starts with responsibility. That's bottom line. I mean, regardless of what program you decide to use or what your recovery looks like, in my opinion, the true definition of recovery, or however you see it, doesn't start until you take some responsibility.
Exactly. Buddy, thank you for coming on today.
You're welcome.
Again, we'll do it again for sure.
Absolutely.
In closing, thank you everybody for tuning in. As always, one point I want to make that, you know, you look at your accountability, the past stuff, all the bad stuff that you kind of, you know, you have to accept that you played a part in it. And that could be substance abuse. It could be a laundry list of things of where your life is at this point. You have to accept accountability to some extent. But that accountability also gives you the power to do whatever you want in your future. And then, like your case, buddy, and your case was, you guys got to be, you know, got to give yourself some credit for the good choices that you made, that the good habits that you built that are, you know, waking up in the morning, working out, eating healthy, working hard, all the things that you do on a regular basis that compound. So all of you look at it that way too. Thank you for tuning in. Like, subscribe, share. And as always,
go Lions. I don't know how you